Hello, friendos and randos! It is almost the end of OP13 in the East, and as such, I want to share a little bit more about all of the different decks that are kind of, becoming really good in OP13 with the release of some of the really powerful support. Of course, the boogeyman that everyone is worried about, the world government's hidden secret leader Imu, is someone who has been making a very big wave in the meta. If you saw the recent 3-on-3 Autumn final, you will see that 16 out of 16 top 16 teams all have one Imu in their team, which shows that it is just insanely highly rated by almost everybody in Japan as well as everyone else in the East as well. It's been putting up results tournament after tournament. It is definitely one of the strongest and has some of the best support in the set. So why don't I quickly explain what Imu does for you guys. So per the rules, you are not allowed to play events with a cost of 2 or higher in your deck. Other than that, at the start of the game, you may place a stage with the type Holy Land Marijua onto the field. This means that at the start of every game, you can choose a stage card from your deck and add it onto the board immediately, which makes your deck already 49 cards from the beginning, which makes it a little bit more consistent. There's 2 stages right now with that ability, with that type, Holy Land Marijua. The first one is Holy Land Marijua. So it is 1 cost during your turn. When you play a 2 cost or higher Celestial Dragon type character card from your hand, you pay 1 less. So this is the stage that has existed since OP05. But just like with the anime, more information is revealed and so are more cards. And that means the 7 cost Empty Throne has also been released. Now, a 7 cost stage is unheard of until recently, but has been added for Imu in OP13. The effect of this card is, during your turn, if your trash has 19 cards or more, then your leader has plus 1000 power, which makes you 6000 base during your turn only. Second, main. You may rest 3 of your Dawn. Play up to 1 5 Elder Stars type character card from your hand with a cost equal to or less than the number of Dawn on your board. This means that you are able to play a 4 cost when you have 4 Dawn, a 6 cost when you have 6 Dawn, and so on and so forth, by only resting this stage as well as 3 Dawn cards, which makes it really powerful for cheating out a lot of value. Now, the stages alone are pretty nice, but what really makes Imu so strong in OP13 is all of the support that he's had. And I'm going to introduce every single card in my decklist as well as in some of the more common decklists as well, and explain to you why these cards are being run. So you are running both of these stages. Now you might wonder, why are we running this 1 cost stage at all if this 7 cost stage sounds so broken? Well, first thing is, in the Imu mirror, there is a card which destroys specifically a 7 cost stage, which means you do have to have this backup stage in case. Other than that, this also has a few other niche uses which I'll talk about later. So why don't we leave the Holy Lands on the top here, as well as our leader Imu, and talk about the components of the deck. So with every good deck, it does need a level of consistency. I realized I didn't even talk about the effect of the leader as well. So activate main once per turn. You may trash one of your Celestial Dragon type characters, which means on the board, or a card from your hand. Draw 1 card. So it's pretty simple, but it's also pretty familiar. If you remember OP05 Blue-Black Sakazuki, which recently got unbanned, it has a very similar effect, with the added benefit of being able to trash characters on the board to draw a card, which makes them from either neutral or +1 to even better than that by drawing an additional card. Whereas for Sakazuki, for example, you would not be able to trash your brand new or your Tashigi in order to draw an additional card. So just imagine Sakazuki, but being able to discard your navy type characters in that case, right? To draw an additional card after you search. Now, with every really powerful deck thus far, it does need to have a level of consistency. So there are 2 key searches that they've printed for Imu. The first one is the 1 cost Saint Shaurya. Saint Shaurya's effect is on play, you may look at the top 3 cards of your deck, then choose one of them and add it to your hand. Then the remaining 2 go to the trash. Then discard 1 card from your hand. So this is a pretty bad searcher if you don't factor in Imu's leader effect, because you are going -1 instead of net neutral like all other searchers. But how Imu works is you would play down Sharia, use her effect, look at 3 cards, choose one, and then you would have to discard 1 card for your Sharia's effect. And then what you would do is you would use leader effect to trash Sharia and then draw an additional card, making her net neutral just like every other searcher. Now, other than Sharia, we also have another 1-cost event searcher. The 5 Elders have arrived. 1-cost main event, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose a Celestial Dragon type card other than the 5 Elder Stars have arrived and add it to your hand. Then place the remaining cards in your trash. Trigger, activate this card's main effect. So these 2 are some of the key consistency pieces in the deck that allow you to look for more of your other Celestial Dragon type cards. As you can imagine, the Celestial Dragon archetype wasn't very fleshed out before OP13, but has now become really powerful thanks to the support that they've printed in OP13. So who have they printed to support this? Let's talk about it. First off, we have the 5 Elder Stars are here. And that means that the 5 Elder Stars are also in this deck. Firstly, we have the 4-cost Saint J. Garcia Saturn. This is the first 5 Elder Star to appear in the anime as well, that we've seen his abilities and whatnot in the recent episodes. His effect is, if your trash has 7 cards or more, then this character cannot be removed by the effects of your opponent, which is really powerful. All of the elders have an effect similar to this, so I won't go over them again too many times. But basically, all of the 5 Elder Stars cannot be removed by your opponent's effects, making them very troublesome to deal with. Saturn's effect, other than the anti-removal, is on play, you may look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Then you may add a 5 Elder Star type card to your hand and then reveal it to your opponent and then add it to your hand. Then place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck. So instead of going to the trash, it sends to the bottom of your deck, which is pretty important as well. This is a really good searcher, and you will find out why very shortly. But note that it doesn't look for Celestial Dragon type cards, it looks for 5 Elder Star type cards. So Sharia, while being a Celestial Dragon, is not an Elder Star, so you are not able to pick her up off of the Saint Saturn. However, an event like the 5 Elder Stars have arrived has both the 5 Elder Stars and the Celestial Dragon type, so you are able to pick it up. The next Saint is Saint Topman Mercury. He is a 4-cost with the same anti-removal effect, but other than that, he also has blocker. Now, note that this blocker effect is also dependent on you having 7 cards in trash. So if you have less than 7 in trash, he doesn't have blocker anymore. His other effect is on KO, draw 1 card, which is really good for a blocker to have, making him a net neutral. Not only that, he also has 1 key counter, just like Saturn. The next Elder Star is 6-cost Ethan Baron V Nasjiro, or Nas as I call him for short. 6-cost 5k power, slash type. Just like the others, with 7 cards or more in trash, he cannot be removed from the board by effects, but other than that, he also gains Rush. His second effect is, when attacking, if you have 10 cards or more in your trash, then you may give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2000 power. This is really good for dealing with rested characters. He is basically like an Ichiji if you have the empty throne on the board, because for 3 costs you can play him down and you get a 5k rush plus minus 2k to one of your opponent's characters. The next elder is 6-cost Marcus Mars. If you haven't figured out by now, all of the elders are named after the planets. So this is Mars. The 6-cost Marcus Mars is just like Valkyrie. With 7 cards or more in trash, he isn't able to be removed by effects, and he also has blocker. His on-play effect is, you may discard 1 card from your hand to KO a character with an original cost of 5 or less. So he is your removal option of the 5 elders, which is really nice to have as well. To help you with board control, as well as being a blocker to prevent basically 2 attacks at once, is really good in many different matchups as well, except probably the mirror, since most of the elders have this anti-removal protection. The last of the 5 elders that we have is the 7 cost Saint Shepherd Jupiter. He is 7 cost, 5k power, but he is 2k counter compared to the other elders who are all 1k counter only. His first effect is the same as everyone else's. His second effect is, during your turn, if you have 10 or more cards in your trash, your characters with 5 Elder Stars have become a base power of 7,000. So all of the 4 Elder Stars we mentioned previously, as well as Jupiter himself, become 7,000 base power. So those are the 5 Elder Stars, and this is the 5 Elder Stars, the card which has all 5 of them included. So this is the card which many people are pretty frustrated to see on their Tendon turn. It is probably the most controversial card as well. A small little detail, they got the world government flag wrong on this alternate art of the card, which is pretty interesting. It's supposed to have a little extra dot in the middle there, but it still is a pretty sick card. So let's talk about its effect. Activate main. So notably, activate main means that it doesn't lose to teach, for example, which turns off the off on place. If your leader is Imu, you may rest 1 Dawn and discard 1 card from your hand. Trash all of your characters. Then play from your trash from your trash up to 5 different character cards with the 5 Elder Stars type and a power of 5,000. So this means for 10, you'll play this, rest 1 Dawn, trash 1 card, and then you are able to play all 5 of the Elders again from your trash. Notably, you cannot play it from your trash or hand, it has to be in your trash. So that's why you do have to make sure to use your leader effect as well as your searchers in order to find all of them and place them in your trash before your 10 Dawn turn. Now, for 10 cost, it is kind of steep, but remember, because of either Maridra or the Empty Throne, you're able to play it for either 9 or 3 Dawn only, which makes it really powerful to have this 3 cost that summons 5 Elders on the board all at once. This is the core pieces of the Imu deck. You are not going to see any deck list that isn't running all of these cards combined in exactly like 4 of each of these. It is going to be really key to your game plan to have all of these cards. Next, I'll talk a little bit about some of the supporting cast for the 5 Elders and Imu. First up, let's talk about some 2k counter options. Personally, I'm running 4 copies of Shirahoshi. I think Shirahoshi is really good. 1 cost 2k counter, activate main, you may rest this character and return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck. If your opponent has 6 cards or more in hand, they discard 1 card. This is really great in the current meta, where Ace is really good, because it lets you force them to discard cards out of their really big hand. Other than that, they are more likely to hit into the Shirahoshi than not as well. And you can use your blockers to block and protect Shirahoshi as if she were a 5k character as well, which is really nice. Other than that, with leaders like Roger as well as Blue Purple Luffy around, being able to use this to hit them even when they are at 8 or 9k base is really helpful as well, which is why I'm running 4 copies. Other than that, she's also able to return some of your key cards to the bottom of your deck, like the 10 cost if you need to use more to last longer, or if you milled a couple copies of them early with one of your searchers. Other than that, you can also return 2k counters like Jupiter or Shirahoshi herself as well, which is really nice, or some of the counter events that you're also going to be running. The next 2k I'm running is 2 copies of Saint Milsgard. Now, most people would run this at 4 and Shirahoshi at 2, but personally, I feel that Shirahoshi is really good in the current meta, which is why I want to run 4 of her no matter what. And I'm willing to compromise on a little bit of searchability in order to do that. So only 2 copies of Saint Milsgard on play. If you have 3 or less life, you may put a 1-cost Holy Land Marijoa stage card from your trash onto the board. You're almost never gonna use this second effect, so that's why I don't really mind cutting him to 2. I also very rarely pick him up off of my searches, Sharia or the 1-cost event, and as he's not a 5 Elder Star, you can't pick him up off of Saturn anyway, so I felt that it's fine to have him at 2 copies only. Our first counter event is the 1-cost. The world's equilibrium cannot be maintained forever, or I will just call this equilibrium, or guard point even. 1-cost, it is a modal event, so you can use it main or counter. Main effect. You may rest 5 of your Dawn. If you have only Celestial Dragon type characters on your board, you may KO up to one of your opponent's original cost 6 or lower characters. So it's a good way to do removal. For 6 costs, you clear a 6 cost as well. Other than that, counter, give your leader plus 3000 power this turn. So really nice counter event that also serves as a little bit of removal. Next, we have 4 copies of It Never Existed. This is also a modal event, but the mode is pretty rare to use the main effect of it. 1-cost, main, rest 1 Dawn. If your leader is Imu, destroy up to one of your opponent's cost 7 stages. So this is the card which prevents you from playing the Empty Throne in the mirror match. Counter effect, if your leader is Imu, give up to one of your leaders or characters plus 4000 power, which is really powerful as well because it doesn't have any other restriction. You don't have to be 2 life or less like Radical Beam, there's no Dawn -1, anything like that as well, no discard. So very nice counter event. The last 4 cards I'm running are, first off, 2 copies of Saint Charlos. Saint Charlos is really good as well as a 2-cost blocker that on play mills 1 card from your deck. So this helps you to hit the 7 card required in trash in order to use all of your other elders non-anti-removal effects. And also Jupiter's and Nazjiro's 10 card in trash effects as well. A lot of people are also running the 1-cost Vivi in this slot. Personally, I think it is alright, but I don't like that you have to have 10 cards in trash for Vivi because I feel that the reason you want these cheap blockers is for the early stages of the game where you are unable to hold enough Dawn up, or you don't have enough events, or you may not have enough cards in trash at that point. And that's why I don't really like Vivi in comparison to Saint Charlos. I think because in the mirror as well, when you're using Marijoa, Saint Charlos is also 1-cost, which I think is one of the better matchups to use the small blockers in. But other than that, I think he's also really nice to have in the low roll situations as he will help you to make your trash 7, especially in the mirror where that is really important if you miss a searcher or something like that. The last card I'm running is 2 copies of Saint Rosewald. He is a 3-cost. On play, you may discard 1 card from your hand. Then, if you only have Celestial Dragon type characters on your board, you may KO up to 2 of your opponent's characters with a base cost of 3 or less. I'm using this card primarily as a tech against Zoros who high roll with Koshiro and Mihawk because you're able to clear the Mihawk as well as use the Empty Throne to use Mars on the same turn, and this way you're able to get rid of his more sticky and pesky bodies on the board. Now, this is the decklist that I'm personally running, but there's also many other techs that I mentioned in my free Imu Basics guide, which you can find on Metafy as well. Those cards are, I'm using my Edge, which is a 1-cost Garp event. It has Garp's face on it, so most people are just going to call it Garp event. What it does is if you have 10 cards or more in your trash, first you get plus 1k counter, then if you have 10 cards or more in your trash, you're able to pick up a character with a cost of up to 3 from your trash. So your Shaurias, your blockers, your Saint Guard, and your Shiroshi. People use this as an alternative to more copies of Equilibrium because Equilibrium, for 1, cannot take care of your board, and for 2, you're able to counter 2 different attacks with that 1 card against matchups like Zoro or even in the mirror. I personally don't like it as it's a non-searchable event, and other than that, again, I don't prefer cards with that 10 card or more requirement because I feel like that means you need to hit 2 searchers in order to get it online early enough. And personally, I just prefer a slightly more consistent side of things. Another card that many decklists are running is the 9-cost Stussy. On play, trash one of your characters, and you may KO one of your opponent's characters with no restriction on cost or anything like that, which is really good into some matchups. However, personally, I felt like it's not a very consistent card to draw because you're not able to search it, and you don't want to play more than 2 copies as well because it will break your hand, especially in the mirror. So personally, I chose not to run it. I think you can beat matchups like Ace and Roger even without running it as well. So I felt like it's fine to cut it and instead hedge for people high rolling me with a card like Rosewater instead. That being said, that is the deck list. And we will talk a little bit more about the game plan and curve in another video. See you next time, friendos and randos. Peace out.